There are 5 amps that never reached the channel for various reasons. Some were terrible, some were fantastic, and just some things happened that didn't make these reach you in a specific video. But I think today it's worth mentioning also the story behind them. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay guys, once again, as you know, I love to present what I have, what I get in contact with, okay? I'm not a reviewer because I don't do that systematically. I don't look for new things. It's rare. If I purchase something, if I borrow something, if something is proposed to me, then I present it very happily, and I try to do my best as a reviewer in that case. But it's not my precise goal on this channel, as most of you know, who follows me at least. So for these reasons, and also a plethora of other reasons, sometimes a few components, especially I would say the amps, just slipped away. So today I want to try to discuss a little, present these, because they are worthwhile and they're part of the journey. So let's start immediately with the first, even though I did discuss about this a few times in other videos, the Primala Dialogue HP Premium. Now this is a tube amplifier, integrated tube amplifier, and my version had the KT88 tubes, power tubes, meaning it reached about 70 watts per channel. That's a lot. And I was coming away out of the normal amps, even though before that I have the AVI Laboratories integrated amplifier, muscle amplifier, 250 watts, but it was fantastic. I still have it, and I think it's a great little amp, but clearly distant from high fidelity as we conceive it. At least I conceive it now, definitely. So I wanted to do something completely different, try something different with a tube-based system design. And I fell for the Primala, all these amazing reviews, as we said in the prior video. And I wasn't just enough satisfied probably by the product. It just sit here, I used it, I liked it, it's a good amp. But it's far, once again, from what I just sensed that I did just a little step above what I had before. I knew better things could have been done and found and presented on the channel. So it just stayed there for 2 years or so. And in the end, I don't know why, I find myself wondering, why did I do that review? I don't know why. I just didn't do it in the end. So it slipped away. After that, several years pass, and I practically present almost everything that passed through here until I tried the Master Sound 845 based on the 845 tubes, power tubes. These are monoblocks. These are the 2010-11 version, not the one present now. And after discovering and being shocked by the quality of the preamplifier, the Spettro, which I still have and I still adore. I did a video. Here is a link of the Spettro. You're also going to find the links in the video description. Not many in this video, I'm afraid. And obviously, I was expecting a lot, okay? I was expecting a lot also from the power amplifier. And I must admit that it was fantastic. It was better than what I had in the moment, which was, I think, the past labs, okay? And I adored it. I liked it a lot. I didn't adore it. I liked it a lot, but I just sensed that it could have been better. That's a 50-watt amp in a parallel design in order to obtain that amount of power. And I was just missing some finesse. There was something lacking. And that is probably why, in the end, also I had some problems and I had to send it back. They brought everything up to spec, so I'm sure it was perfect. But in the end, I just didn't do the review. I wanted to. I did want to present this, actually, because it's also an interesting design. I wanted to talk more about Master Sound. They're incredible transformers. It just didn't happen. So once again, then that slipped away. After that, several more time passes. I start to discover other fantastic stuff. I fall in love with the MC30s, the Macintosh. Those just, I consider a life-changing experience because they really completely changed my perspective on audio, on hi-fi. And these are a 1958 design. Wow, guys. Here is the link to the review of them. So after that, everything changed in my mind. I started to go much more towards vintage, even though clearly I did know vintage. I present a lot of things on the channel and not. And after that, I was trying to find something that could compare, that could compete, that would have sense comparing with. And I decided to try, and I'm very sorry I didn't present this because this is one of the best amps that passed in this room. I'm talking about the Graf GM20. Now the Graf is an OTL, OCL, true OTL, true OCL design. The GM20 is only a 20-watt design, meaning it's a transformer-less, output transformer-less, and output capacitor-less. Fantastic. The real essence of tubes. I got the perfect tubes you need for that, those special types that were found in the MiG airplanes several years ago and then were adopted in audio components in order to have less number of tubes instead of dozens there, in order to have that output capacity, because unfortunately it's very difficult to design an output transformer-less amplifier. I loved it. Actually, the sound was as good as these. Okay? Maybe slightly less dynamic, maybe a little less open, but the tubes still needed a little more time because they were new old stock. I had some problems. I tried to send it back to a tech. It took too much time. In the end, I just decided to send it back to the seller. Even though in that time in which I did experience a little bit of its fantastic juice, because you also have to bias behind it, you have to turn it over, you have to do the bias, you also have to set the offset. So it's very time consuming and very hard to handle, let's say. But it was fantastic. It was great design. It comes from a great Italian designer of a few decades ago, and I'm really sorry I wasn't able to present it. But I want to mention it because the Graf is truly outstanding, and that was the only one truly OTL OCL. The other ones with much more power, they were more of a compromise. So if you manage to find those, a lot of people also use them as monoblocks, even though it is a stereo amplifier. There is a system to bridge the parts inside and have two blocks. Cool. Probably even better if you don't have sensitive speakers. I do, so no problem there. And once again, fantastic. But things went too quickly and it slipped away. After that, I decided to experiment in a vintage solid state gem. Legend, okay? A legend. The Classe Audio DR3. Now, maybe a lot of you is not going to mean anything, but for who knows what I'm talking about knows exactly that this is a true legend, considered by someone among the best solid-state power amp designed, okay? This is vintage, although we're going back towards the 90s or so. So not too much back in time, but, well, I still consider the 90s as something recent, but when I grew up, actually, in the 80s and 90s, but it's not that close anymore, actually. And it's a beautiful design. I like it, even the how it's built. Huge, massive power reserve. And the sound. And this one, I got it from a shop, so it was all perfect, up to spec. And the sound, I must admit, was extremely good. Probably better than, I'm saying probably because I couldn't do a direct comparison, but in my mind, it seemed as good as the AccuPhase, maybe a little better in certain areas, okay? The active is A48, which I also reviewed. If you're interested, here is a link to the A48. So, once again, though, I was really expecting, because someone classified it as the reference, so I just wanted to feel a reference sound. And once again, I said, okay, great, fantastic, but the MC30s are at another level. So in the end, I was able to send that back because I did all my tests within 2 weeks, and I sent it back. So once again, I didn't have the time to do a video, but it left a sign in my head, in my brain, because it was a solid state, and the sound did not seem as a solid state, I must admit, although a little compressed compared to the MC30s. After that, I got to know a fantastic person, Enrico of Mel Audio, who is an audio shop but also technician lab in Emilia-Romagna, nearby here, very close to me, for other reasons, which will come out on the channel in another episode. And since he also designed his electronics, he proposed me to try to listen to one of his amplifiers, an integrated amplifier, the Kazak Mk2. So I brought it back home and hooked it up, and I was blown away by the quality of an integrated amplifier. 21 watts per channel. All of a sudden, even the preconception of separates fell, and I wasn't expecting that much, because I was kind of fed up with all these solid state amplifiers. This one really made a difference. It was practically almost identical to the MC in terms of engagement and in quality and realness. It was flatter. Unfortunately, we're always missing some air around the instruments. The sound stage is just a little more compressed in a solid state. That's what I find in most designs, if not all. But the dynamics, the bass, I mean, it was a special jewel. At that point, I said, well, Enrico, since you have to come back, and I will explain why in another video, why don't you bring me the top of the line of Mel Audio? And he did. He brought me the Nefesh Ii, which this time was only a power amplifier, 5 watts, which is perfect for my Altec 19s. No problem there. I hooked it up finally when I find the right time. And at that time, the Kazak went back, so I couldn't do a video. And the Nefesh was ready to go and set. Now, the Nefesh did not shine as the Kazak. Maybe because the Kazak I had some expectations. Could be. It was better in certain parts of the spectrum, more refined. But I was expecting a huge step. Also because if I understand correctly, the Nefesh is around 20,000 euro. So I was expecting a little more, but I understood something. That Enrico designs his stuff to work perfectly with his own stuff. He also has a very high-end preamplifier, which he also showed me. But I said, no, don't worry, I have good preamplifiers. But I'm sure that my preamplifiers weren't the optimal with his design, with the Nefesh. And I have this confirmation because the Kazak is an integrated amplifier. So I didn't have to use my preamplifiers. And my preamplifiers are very, very good. As you know, the Shindo now is off, is not here anymore. I do still have the Spectro, plus I have another Jewel, which I have to still have to present on the channel, but it's one of the most regarded tube amplifiers in history. Enough said. But it's probably not the greatest combination, which also brings us to reflect that how it is important to have the good combination between preamp and amp. It's not automatic. It's not just a matter of impedance. We have to find the synergy sometimes, and sometimes they just don't work as good, okay? Because I'm sure that the Nefesh, with his own preamplifier, it's probably stellar, but it's a 20K design. Just that, together with the preamp, maybe double or something like that. So not for me. But it was very fun to do, and I had to handle back that to Enrico, who was so kind to loan that to me. But I didn't have the time to properly test it, and at that point, it had to go back, and I couldn't do a video. So that's the long and short story of all these little amps that I wanted to present you that didn't reach it. Some good, some exceptional, some so-so. But it's fun to try a little bit of everything, and I'm glad I was able to share this with you. Thank you again for watching, guys, and remember that music is born analog. Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.